Welcome everyone, my name is Matt and this is Code Journey. In today's video I will guide you to download, install and show you how to use Visual Studio. If this is the first time you're here, don't forget to subscribe to help me keep growing the channel. I will make the download and installation part as concise as possible. If you already have Visual Studio or you don't want to see all this process, you can search for the timestamp below and just go from where we create our first C# project and start getting familiar with the environment. For those of you that want to be guided through this process, we are going to start by downloading the exe, the installation file. Okay, so for that we are going to go to Google, or you can have the link below in the description, and type download Visual Studio. First we get a couple of ads, of course, and then the first link that is not an ad is the Visual Studio Microsoft.com. That is the official page for Microsoft downloads. We are going to be downloading the Visual Studio 2019, that is the latest version, and there are 3 editions in here: Community, Professional and Enterprise. For you, if you're watching this video, you are probably a beginner at development and just getting to know the technology and try out C# and Visual Studio as an IDE. Community is for you. Community is the version that is free, the only one. The others have free trials, but after a period, I think it is 30 days, you will have to pay to keep using it. The community version is pretty complete. Of course, the professional and enterprise ones have extra features that are very nice to have, but you can work and get a lot done only with the community version. This is meant to be used for students, open source contributors and individuals. So we just go and click free download. We will get this thank you for downloading, and down below we will get the exe, right? It will say that before installing we need to get some things set up, and it will download and install. After you get the installer process done, you will be presented with something like this. It won't be exactly like this because I already have Visual Studio installed. This is what you will probably see when you finish the download of the installer. You will get all the packages that you can download for Visual Studio to use. And you will probably only want the .NET desktop development and the ASP.NET web development packs. If you want and you have free space in your computer, you can use some of these other packages like Azure Development, Python Development if you like Python, Node.js, mobile, game with Unity. Just feel free to take a look at all of these and install the ones that you prefer. For these courses, you will only need the .NET desktop development and ASP.NET web development. Click install and go and take a coffee because this will take some time. It will have to download all the files and install them. After it finishes, it will ask you to reboot your computer because it has to set up a couple of things. So just close everything. Keep in mind you will have to save your work, and see you in a bit after you get everything restarted. So after you got your reboot done, you will have to run Visual Studio 2019. So you can just press the Windows key and type Visual Studio 2019, and when you enter, you will be presented with this window. I cannot reproduce that because I already did this process, but I have a screenshot. So in here it will say, welcome, connect to all developer services, blah blah blah. You don't need that for now. I think after a period of time it is mandatory to have an email set up, but for now, just to try it out to see if you like the IDE and even the language, just go ahead and click not now, maybe later. You will be presented with the last pop-up window before getting to the tool, and that is to select a familiar environment. I recommend using general and of course dark version because that's cool for developers. If you prefer a light version for some reason, that is okay. The blue ones are very ugly, but you can pick that too. Okay, so after you select that, we will actually get to Visual Studio. You will be presented with a window very similar to this one, but without projects on the left. So let's go ahead and create our first project. That will be using this button in here, the last one, create a new project. Click that, and you will be presented with a very annoying, if you ask me, way of creating projects. I like the way previous version used to do this, but whatever, it is what it is. So in here we have all the templates for different projects that we have based on what we installed, okay? So for now, we are going to just create a console application. So for that, you can search it using the bar, or in this search box, type console, and we will get all these options. Just select the console app.NET Core with C#, okay? Otherwise, your project is going to be very different from the one you are going to see on this video. After that, you just click next and get to this page. You will define the project name. In this case, we can put Hello World, because that is what we probably do as developers when we are learning a brand new tech, and the location. Okay, just click create. It will take a couple of seconds and you will be presented with this. I believe when you create your first project, the Solution Explorer will be on the left side, but that is not a problem. These are all dockables, so you can move them around and put them wherever you want. You can dock it to one side, you can dock it to the top, which will be very weird, but you can do it, or you can do it, or you can dock it to the other side, even inside the window. You have a lot of options. Just play around and get the setup as comfortable as you want, because this is going to be your main window to develop and navigate through the project. If we take a look at the solution, we will see that we only have dependencies and the program.cs, that is a file. .cs is the extension for C#, that is the language we are going to code in. Okay, so for now I will ask you to ignore this whole namespace and class and static main, because we are going to get there in the programming fundamentals. Probably in the first video I will talk a little bit about this, and then later on when we talk about programming, object-oriented programming, we will talk about classes and why this is the way it is. But for now, the only thing you need to know is that you are going to be working in this space, okay? Between these two curly braces, this is where all your code should be for now. After a little bit, we can create functions and methods and whatever, but for now, just focus on writing code in here. And if we take a look, the first line that we are presented with says console.writeLine, and between parentheses a string that says hello world. As I said before, this is a common practice for developers when we are starting, and what this program will do is write into the console a string that says hello world. So let's change this to hello Visual Studio. To run this program, all you have to do is click this triangle green button that says hello world, that is the name of your program. And if you click it, you will see that your environment changes a lot. When you run a program, Visual Studio has like two ways of displaying your environment, one for writing code and one for debugging. And it will show a couple of windows different. It will take a chunk of the down space to show the output. If you take a look, the first line says hello Visual Studio, that is the string that we just wrote in here, and then it will say that from the source path it exited with code 0. That is because the program just finished, right? We didn't put anything else to stop the program, so the program runs and it just ends. That is the basics that you need to know about Visual Studio. Now we are going to go over a couple of menus, functionalities, and write a little bit of code just so I can show you some tools that Visual Studio provides us. Let's go through some menus and things that you want to know how to do in Visual Studio. The first menu we are going to take a look at is the file one. Okay, from the top bar, the file menu will allow you to do everything that you are used to do in every program. Just create new files, open files, close them, save them. This is very important. Save your programs every once in a while, just in case. You can do that with the shortcut Ctrl+S, save all with Ctrl+Shift+S, etc. From the edit, you will probably use the copy and paste, the copy and cut, delete, standard things. You will also find it very useful to use the comment selection and uncomment selection, but that will probably be later on. In here you will find all the most commonly used windows. If you ever want to see anything that you are not seeing, or you close a window, something like that, you will probably find it in here. You see we already talked about the Solution Explorer, Team Explorer, error list, output, class view, Test Explorer, SQL Server, etc. You will find this very useful. The toolbars are also customizable. You can change the buttons that you see on them. For example, this is a toolbar for debugging, and you can add or remove from here. See, you can get all the icons that you use in a daily basis, so you will probably want to have them there. Okay, you can customize those toolbars. And the last menu from the top that we are going to see for now is the project one. This will allow you to create some shortcuts to create things more rapidly, like adding a class, new data source, add new item, create a folder, show all files, etc. There are many ways to create a file. You can do it from here, like we saw before. You can do it directly from the project, or you can do it directly in the Solution Explorer from the tree. You can just click on the project and do right button, add a new item. All of them take you to the same modal pop-up, that is this one, add new item to Hello World. In here you will get all the items that you can add. Most commonly you will be adding classes, eventually interfaces or other stuff, but for now just you can create a class, you change the name in here to my first class, for example, and click add, and you will get another class in there. Okay, remember, if you don't modify anything from here, the only code that will be executed is the one in here inside the main method in the class program. Okay, so let's do something with this. Let's write some code and run our program and see what we can do with Visual Studio. The first thing we are going to do is write a console readline to avoid the program finishing. Okay, if you write that, the program will stay put waiting for the user to input something, and because we are not going to input anything, it will stop there. We can also stop a program with a breakpoint. For example, if we create a variable name and we put it code journey in there, we can stop the program by putting a breakpoint. To put a breakpoint, there are many ways again, but the most commonly used one is just to click on this bar. You see this bar at the left. You have the line number, and then in each line that there is code, you can put a breakpoint. Okay, these red points are breakpoints. That means that when you are debugging, the program will stop there, and you will be able to check the environment and how everything is going in your program. So let's try it. If we have this program, we just click the run that we saw before, and you can see that our console is in here. It already outputs Hello Visual Studio because that is the first line, and then it stops. See that we have a yellow arrow in our breakpoint. The yellow arrow indicates where the instruction is running right now, where the program is at this particular point in time. And it is not executed, okay? So this line has not been executed yet. After we move past the breakpoint, it will execute. And if we take a look, down here we have a couple of windows to check the status of the program. The first one is Autos. I like to use Watch more because I can configure it. In Autos, the program already decides all the variables and things that you want to see. In the Watch, you can put all the variables and things of a state that you want to check by hand, so you can customize it, and it is pretty nifty. So for example, if I want to check just name, I will see it has a null because it hasn't executed this line so far, and we can also, you can check it just moving the cursor over there, but if it is a complex object or a list or something, it is not very nice to see it from here because it is kind of small. But you can also select all the variable name, pick it and maintain the click and drag it to the watch. Okay, so if we drag the variable to the watch, we get the name, the value and the type. Okay, if you watch the first video, Programming Fundamentals, you know every variable in C# has a name, a value and a type. If you haven't checked it out, you will find it down below in the description and also right here in the recommendations. Okay, so what can we do with this? You can control the flow once you are debugging an application in Visual Studio. For that, we have these controls that I showed you before in the debug toolbar. you can stop debugging with this red square button, or you can move one by one through the instructions, see? Okay, in here you can see the step over. That one will allow you to move just one instruction, like jump to the next one. If you click step into, it will go inside of the instruction when it is a method or something that can be debugged inside of. In this case, this instruction does not have any lower level that we can go, so it will behave as the step over. If we click the step over, you see the yellow arrow goes to the next instruction, and the one that we just saw was executed. So we see the variable name now has the value code journey, right? So this is what you are going to be using when you want to debug an application to find a problem or see what is happening with your program, okay? And I think I want to wrap up this video with this. You already have your Visual Studio downloaded, installed, configure as you liked. You check all the windows that you can open, how to operate and create new files, how to save, how to run an application, stop it, and go through all the statements looking at the values of the variables. That's about it for today's video. Visual Studio is a great and powerful tool, so I hope you enjoy it and learn a couple of things. See you in the next one.